Kansas lawmakers hold hearings about wind farm regulations following the release of a new study.
As more and more people get vaccinated, the question of what's next comes up. When can we get back to normal? I'm Chris Warner. We'll speak with some local health officials on what normal may look like and what it'll take to get there.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Headwinds and tailwinds. Both sides push hard in a debate over the future of Kansas wind farms. This is KOAM News at 5. Researchers release a new study and lawmakers hold hearings regarding proposals to add new regulations for the wind farm industry. KOAM's Zach Dodge has details.
More than $1.6 billion in revenue for counties and landowners, and more than 22,000 upfront and ongoing jobs. Those are two of the biggest findings from a study on the economic impacts of wind energy in Kansas in 2020 that was just released. The study was done by law firm Polsinelli, which, according to press releases and their website, does represent wind energy companies. The report was also released just hours before a hearing in Topeka for proposed legislation that would regulate the wind industry in the state.
Counties need help in navigating wind energy development.
Senate Bill 279 in its current state would regulate setback distances, noise levels, and how a contract between a wind farm developer, landowners, and counties could happen. The bill is currently being considered by the Senate Utilities Committee, with supporters of the bill from all over Kansas speaking in person. Ann Dare lives in Bourbon County, where a wind farm is currently under construction. She hopes it passes so that other counties have a roadmap in the future.
This is not saying you cannot come to Kansas ever anywhere. This is just saying we've got some rules that you need to follow. And so yes, I hope with everything that's within me that it passes.
Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Another committee hearing in Topeka is scheduled for tomorrow at 1:30 p.m., where committee members expect to hear from those in opposition to the bill. And there will be a link to the full economic impact study on our website later this evening. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. Arkansas lawmakers today approved banning transgender girls and women from competing on school sports teams consistent with their gender identity. The majority Republican House voted 75-18 in favor of the ban, sending it to Republican Governor Asa Hutchinson. Opponents of the ban warn it could have a devastating impact on trans youth. Governor Hutchinson has not said whether he supports that measure. Doug Heddy joins us now with a first look at the weather. Doug.
Hey, Dow. It's turned out to be an okay Monday for us today. Of course, the clouds have been increasing very quickly over the past several hours after a very nice weekend. We have fantastic temperatures. But look at the rain increasing, especially on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side. We have one little band that is giving us a few sprinkles right now, but the heaviest rain is way out to our west across central Kansas, central Oklahoma. But all this is going to be heading toward us as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. So you can see a little band of sprinkles which are rotating through, but the heaviest rain kind of west of Independence, also Neodesha, and also Fredonia. All that's going to roll in later on tonight. So rain starts to increase, especially late evening. I think that's when we're going to have the persistent heavier rain across the region. Could even get some decent amounts as we go through the overnight hours tonight. We're going to break this down for you all coming up here in just a little bit.
All right, we'll catch you then. The City of Pittsburgh and Crawford County partner up to buy a new state-of-the-art emergency call management system. That new system will allow residents to text urgent alerts to 911. Officials say dispatchers will also have an easier time locating mobile phone calls. It also sets the county up for an easier time upgrading the system down the road.
We like it because it's such a great option for people. If they're, again, there's certain times when you don't necessarily want to talk out loud, or it's maybe something that is much more comfortable for somebody to do a texting. I know younger people tend to prefer, they have their phones with them all the time, so they definitely prefer to use their phones in that manner.
The county and city used state funds to buy that new equipment. As more people get vaccinated and COVID numbers continue to trend downward, some are wondering, when can we return to normal? KOAM's Chris Warner spoke with local health officials to find out what they think and what it'll take to get there.
Newton County Health Department Administrator Larry Bergner says things are looking promising in Newton County. The number of active cases February 3rd in the county was 497. He says that number dropped to 43 by March 21st. Additionally, Bergner says 11% of the population in Newton County has received at least one dose of the COVID vaccine, but he still wants people to be cautious.
Certainly there's still danger there. I mean, we don't want people to get lax in the guidelines and wearing the mask and social distancing.
Bergner says they're working to get as much of the population vaccinated as they can.
We're hoping that we can have the population vaccinated, and at that point, I think we can go to a kind of a norm that we're used to.
But that's where questions come in. Mercy's infectious disease preventionist Donna Stokes says when it comes to getting back to normal, it will take herd immunity.
We don't know what percentage of the population will have to have herd immunity before we start seeing this really slow down or come to, a standstill. So our goal is to achieve as much immunity as we can, either by those who have already had illness or those who haven't becoming vaccinated, so that the virus really doesn't have a host to infect and mutate in.
Bergner is remaining cautiously optimistic, but is hopeful for the future.
I'm hopeful that we can return to the normal we knew in February of 2020. I would kind of hate to see that we would be bound by some of the criteria that we have grown accustomed to, the wearing the mask. I would hate that would be a forever situation.
Bergner says we could see that by late summer or fall. But with masks being effective for the coronavirus, Bergner says they may still pop up in the future.
There may be businesses that say, well, if you enter my business during the flu season, then I want you to wear the mask. So we may see some of those carry over.
In Newton County, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Both Bergner and Stokes say current guidance is to have from 70 to 90% herd immunity, but they remind everyone things can still change. AstraZeneca's vaccine was found to be 79% effective in clinical trials in the U.S. The company says it'll request emergency use authorization from the FDA. The U.S. has already pre-ordered 300 million doses of the vaccine. The Biden administration announces it plans to ship 4 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine to Mexico and Canada, where the drug has already been approved for use. A little bit later, more people pursuing higher education.
The pandemic is changing who applies to colleges and universities across the country. I'm Naomi Ruckham with how campuses may look this fall.
And next in Healthwatch, health officials are urging cancer survivors to get the COVID-19 vaccine. Scientists in the UK suggest there may be a strong link between COVID-19 and hearing issues. They examined questionnaires and medical records from COVID patients and identified hearing loss, ringing in the ear, or vertigo in about 30% of cases. Cancer often leaves survivors with a compromised immune system. That's just one reason why several medical organizations are urging patients to get the COVID-19 vaccine. Reporter Nancy Chen has more.
Olivia Lingister was looking forward to retirement when she was diagnosed with liver cancer. Then the pandemic hit.
COVID has kind of really interrupted my life. It's messed up everything. Losing my boyfriend, losing my best friend. It's been hard.
Through it all, the 60-year-old New York grandmother has tried to stay positive and healthy. And she says that's why she got the COVID-19 vaccine.
I've been through everything, the surgeries, the chemo. It's better to have a shot in the arm than to be on a ventilator.
Many medical groups are recommending cancer patients and survivors get vaccinated when they can.
Cancer can affect the immune system and can affect, for example, the blood or the lymph nodes. And so the infection fighting capacity of our patients can be diminished.
A recent study shows cancer patients with COVID-19 are 23% more likely to require hospitalization. Dr. Tobias Hall is an infectious disease specialist with Memorial Sloan Kettering.
Preventing COVID-19, it also can help cancer patients get through their cancer therapies as quickly as possible.
The American Cancer Society suggests patients talk with their doctor before getting any vaccine. Some patients will need to time their shots around treatment.
You need all the tools in your toolbox to help you to make sure that you can be healthy, you can remain healthy and live a healthy life.
Olivia says getting the shot also brings her one step closer to being able to see her grandson after a long year apart. Nancy Chen, CBS News, New York.
Doctors say there's absolutely no reason to believe that the vaccine isn't safe for cancer patients or that patients would have different side effects. What we don't know yet is how effective it'll be in different cancer groups. Doug Heddy is up next with his complete forecast. And a little bit later, two railroad giants announce a merger through a nearly $30 billion purchase.
Well, a lot more clouds for us today, but still temperatures pretty good as we have gone up into the 60s for afternoon highs. But you can see if we look back at March, obviously we had the extremely cold February, but March has been pretty good. Just a handful of days have been below average. And of course, we had a pretty good weekend. We were 62 on Saturday and then nearly 70 degrees for us yesterday. Still temps pretty good. 62 in Nevada, 61 in Neosho, Miami, 60 in Parsons. Hair cooler in Yates Center at 58 degrees, but we have these south winds kicking in. This is ahead of our storm system that is rolling in for us tonight. So kind of the south winds at 15 to 20 to 25 at times and socked in with the clouds, but most of us are dry. There may be a few random sprinkles, but most of us are dry. 61, south winds at about 15. Our humidity is at 54%. So before we get any rain, that humidity is going to have to come up just a bit as we go through the evening hours. We're going to drop back through the 60s, 50s. I think most of us will bottom out right around 51 for an overnight low. But look at the rain really increasing out to our west, our far western counties on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side. Most of us have still been dry, but look at the big wall of rain really stretching from Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, all the way down through parts of Texas. I don't think we're going to see anything too strong or severe, but we are going to see a few thunder showers rolling through late tonight. As of right now, not too much going on. We do have some light little sprinkles, which have been developing really in our northern half of the viewing area, but all the heavier persistent rain is out to our west. So if we zoom in really from Pittsburgh, Joplin, Neosho, Miami, Carthage, maybe a couple random sprinkles over the next couple hours, but the more persistent rain. This is going to hold off until after 8 or 9 p.m. Let's go through time. You can see the rain increasing during the overnight hours really picks up after midnight tonight. So we could see some pockets of moderate, maybe even heavy amounts of rain. But again, nothing too strong or severe. We'll get this first band that rolls through, and then we'll have a few additional thunder showers, which are going to stick around as we go through the morning hours for us tomorrow. But the heaviest rain will pull north as we go into the afternoon. So then we'll just have mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures, they're going to struggle to warm up for us tomorrow. 51 to start with the showers during the morning hours. I think we're going to kind of hold into the mid-50s for highs. So we'll shoot for about 53. Tomorrow night, a little bit of clearing. So partly cloudy skies, and then as we head into Wednesday, not a bad day. We're going to still have a lot of clouds, but temperature is pretty good as we should go to about 60 or 61. Then Wednesday night, more showers, more thunderstorms will roll in as we head into the daytime hours on Thursday. So a couple storm systems we need to keep our eyes on as we go through this week. 53 tomorrow. We're going to have the showers. We're going to have thunderstorms developing for us tonight, and then again, rain Wednesday night into Thursday. So rainfall potential over about the next two and a half days. I think this first system, a lot of areas could get a half an inch, and then with the second system combined, over the next 3 days, rainfall total is about 3/4 of an inch to an inch, which we're doing fine on rain. Friday, 64, back to 70 by Saturday, but a chance for thunderstorms and then cooling back down for the second half of the weekend.
So wind might have dried the ground out a bit recently, but it looks like it'll be soggy again soon enough.
Yeah, it's just every other day rain moves in.
I guess. Thanks, Doug. Coming up, applications to colleges and universities surged during the pandemic. First, though, we honor a local veteran. William Muntz served in the U.S. Navy from 1975 to 1980. His hometown, Parsons, Kansas. And we salute Bosun's Mate 3rd Class William Muntz, a 4-state hero. A mega merger is on track in the railroad industry. Canadian Pacific is buying Kansas City Southern in a deal estimated at around $29 billion. The company will be known as Canadian Pacific Kansas City. After the merger, it'll be the first railroad connecting the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. The Vernon County, Missouri Health Department is warning people about scams in the form of COVID-19 vaccine surveys. The department offers some tips to spot a fake survey. Check the email address. Be sure it looks official. Make sure the company's logo matches the one on their website, and check for spelling errors. The biggest red flag, a company asking you to enter a bank account or credit card number to claim a reward. The state of Missouri is transferring $300 million in federal coronavirus relief funds to the state's unemployment insurance trust fund. The trust fund, which the state's workers draw unemployment benefits from, is funded by Missouri businesses. Governor Mike Parsons says the transfer will prevent an increase in contribution tax rates for businesses. The number of applications submitted to U.S. colleges and universities surged over the past year. Because of the pandemic, many schools gave students more time to apply and even made it optional whether to submit the ACT and the SAT. But will that change who gets in? Reporter Naomi Ruckham breaks it down.
Talk to most any high school senior, and you'll probably hear a story like this one from Tessa Ransom.
The ACT was canceled 3 times, and I was relocated out of state 3 hours away from my house.
That pushed the majority of colleges and universities to make standardized testing optional this year. And according to the most widely used college application website, KOAM App, what followed was 11% more college applications. Avery Schwartz applied to 12 with no test scores.
I saw that I could apply to higher level schools like Cornell and have them more focus on, they said they wouldn't penalize it at all.
KOAM App's Jenny Ricard says the pandemic shined a light on admission practices that may have been excluding students.
So many of them have changed their evaluation process. And I think as a result, they're going to learn a tremendous amount about other predictors of success.
KOAM App found large selective universities like Cornell and NYU had 17% more applications compared to last year, many coming from minority students who are often underrepresented. KOAM App also found fewer applications came from first-generation college students this year, likely because of the pandemic.
So those kids who are filling out and completing federal financial aid forms, that's down 9%, which is a pretty substantial chunk.
Yari Martinez's family has struggled financially this past year, but having the first-generation college student apply was a priority.
My family's always pushed me to continue doing school. Even if we're not financially okay, we can still help you out some way or another.
She applied to 4 colleges and so far has been accepted to 3. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
Final check of the forecast next. The CBS Evening News is next, but there won't be a KOAM News at 6 today because of the NCAA tournament. Also, KOAM News at 10 will be pushed back later than usual. On KOAM News at 9 on our sister station, Fox 14, an organization claims a new reservoir from Missouri American Water will kill endangered crawfish in the area and won't hold water very well. We're going to hear from Missouri American Water. Plus, lawmakers hear testimony about making Washington, D.C. the 51st state. And a new study says pen and paper is better for the memory than smart devices. That and more tonight on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. Let's check back with Doug for a final look at the weather.
Now we got rain, which is going to be sneaking in. It's starting off fairly light, but really picking up late this evening. And then we're going to have some pockets of moderate showers, even a few thunderstorms, nothing strong or severe into tomorrow morning. And then I think mainly just clouds sticking around tomorrow afternoon, but turning cooler, high temp tomorrow of only 53.
Again, basketball at 6, our late news later than usual. Let's take care of ourselves and each other.